What's up, guys? Welcome to the video. This is going to be a three-piece video going over some basic hip mobility exercises. I have a beginner, intermediate, and an advanced segment. Neither is easier than the other. I just believe that as a beginner, these are going to be a little bit friendlier as they're going to demand the least amount of mobility and understanding of your body. Intermediate, we dive into a little bit more complex movement. And the advanced are probably the hardest ones to understand, and we would want to have some type of already understanding of our hip anatomy. I'm gonna keep this very simple because the terminology is a little bit confusing, and I myself had a hard time learning all these patterns and names to the movements. Not all of these are gonna feel too comfortable for you. Pick the best ones that you like and implement them 2 to 3 times a week, around 5 to 10 reps. So feel free, watch the whole video before you try it out and then see what you think is going to be best. Again, you could do these before or after your routine. All right, guys, let's get started. The first movement is a partial of our second movement. So we're gonna start with placing our hands behind. The more back your hands are, the easier this is because it demands less of that hip flexor when you're upright. So if you need some assistance, put your hands back. You're gonna start on your heels and we're going to rotate inwards and try to get this knee to touch the heel. Now, if you start and you only get to this part, that's fine. Little by little, let's improve that mobility to be able to get this knee to touch the ground. And we're gonna do the same thing. Feel free to adjust your feet. Notice how I have to move my leg a little bit here to be able to fit that knee inside. And then you're going to be lifting a little bit of your glute, the opposite glute, if you're heading to the right, and this knee is going to collapse a little bit. Just try to get to the point where you're feeling as stiff as possible here. So this right foot is pretty planted, and I'm gonna try to get this knee all the way down. That is obviously, that's taking some time, some work. One hip might be a little bit better than the other, so don't think that both are going to be feeling the same. In my case, my left hip is not as mobile as the right, but I'm working on that. If it helps, lift your heel off the ground in order to be able to get in this position. And little by little, you'll be able to flatten everything out. Our second movement is going to be the entire shin box side to side. So I'm going to start with my chest facing the camera, and I'm going to be moving my torso towards the right. I'm gonna pick a wall there, and then towards the left, trying to stay as upright as possible. Again, if you need to keep your hands back here to make it a little bit more comfortable, feel free. But the main idea here is to get the legs in the correct position. So we're going to start to the right. I'm going to place my right knee, my foot in a 90-degree angle. Left leg, I'm gonna try to keep it as straight as possible. Shin to make a 90-degree angle. And then again, I'm going to try to stay as upright as possible facing that wall. Feel free to put your hand out like this because you might feel some stiffness in this back hip or the front one. And then little by little, you'll be able to creep up to a point where you don't even need help and you're able to keep your torso in this position. To rock back, you're going to get up on your heels facing the base position and then twist. Again, use your hands if needed. If not, stay as upright as possible and fix your feet so that way you can get those 90-degree angles. Little by little, you won't necessarily need to be looking at your legs. You'll just land in that position. So I'm gonna do a couple reps just so you see how slow I'm trying to find these patterns and get into the correct alignment. Obviously, I've been working on this, so my mobility and my hips have improved this year. I'm trying to keep my torso as upright as possible. Rock to your hips, that is your base stance, then back to the left. Let's do about 4 to 5 reps. Now, from here, I'm gonna show you a little bit more advanced movements, but just bear with the reps. As you get better, we're going to use less hands. So I'm gonna show you a version. You're gonna keep your hands up here. I like to keep them over here. Some people lock them out. I like to keep here just in case, you gotta be ready. Lock everything out into this position. Notice how my chest is pretty upright and I'm in the exact position that I kind of want to get into. This is a hard part. I'm going to rock back to the base position and into the 90 without really trying to fall this way or rock that way. I'm trying to keep this position as stiff as possible. Again, heels, rock back. This might take a few reps to get down, but I wouldn't rush it. I would really focus on starting in a position where you're comfortable and then build yourself up. Our next movement is going to be very familiar, as I've shown this to a lot of you guys. It's going to start in a base hip flexor stretch. So we're going to get on one knee. Let's get both legs facing the same side. And again, we're going to bend this front leg and keep the heel on the ground, trying to get a little bit of knee drive without lifting the heel off the ground. And if you do this right, staying upright, you're gonna feel this back hip flexor. Get into the stretch, depending if you're doing it before the workout, just get in there, hold it for like 2-3 seconds. But if it's after, then feel free to spend some more time here, especially if there's no pain. And then, since I'm working the left leg, I'm gonna go counterclockwise to about 10. And I'm going to be feeling a little bit more of the adductors, so the groin area, without lifting the heel. And then I'm going to turn it a full quarter. So I'm gonna be at 9 o'clock right here. And I'm just going to bend this way. Again, chest upright. I'm going to head back to 10. Chest up. And back to noon. I'm gonna do the same thing with the next leg. Right foot is planted, left knee, chest upright, heel flat. Try to remember all these little things so that way you become very efficient at how to move your body. That way you don't have to have someone always there kind of coaching you. You're training yourself during this whole time. Then I'm gonna shoot towards clockwise. And that's gonna be towards maybe 2 o'clock. Then ultimately to 3 o'clock. Again, trying to keep my chest as upright as possible and slow. Don't do these fast, because if you have some type of stiffness or some pre-existing injury, you might make it worse or pull something. So that's why I'm putting these as a beginner routine, because they're fairly friendly, but you're still gonna get a pretty good amount of work when it comes to your ankles. As I'm trying to keep my heel on the ground, my knee as it's getting travel from the toe, the hip flexor, my spine. I'm getting some pretty good work here. The last exercise for this segment is going to be a bird dog. So that exercise I like to teach because there's a lot of exercises that you could take and learn in the gym that are going to target your body, but we need to learn how to get in the position first. So let's go ahead and get in a quadruped position. That is with your shoulders over your wrist, hip bone over your knees on all fours, bracing your midsection, so belly button towards the ceiling. And what we're gonna do is we're going to lift the right arm and left leg simultaneously to about parallel height, as far as possible and as locked as possible. I'm going to bring both in, and I'm going to pretend I'm doing like a cable crunch with my upper body and a knee tuck with my knee and crunch. Notice how I'm still keeping my elbow locked, and then slowly lock everything back up. You should feel some stretch in your right lat, some delt, and then some glute on your opposite leg. And bracing your core the whole time. Bring it back in, slow crunch. Get that upper body crunch like if we're doing cable crunches, and then a knee tuck on the leg. Let's do one more. We're going to repeat the next leg. I like to lock my elbow and flex like if I'm punching. Right glute is on fire. Core is tight to avoid any lower back strain. And I'm going to come in and crunch. Try to keep your head neutral, because lifting it like this might strain your neck. So stay facing your hand maybe. This is going to not only work on the hip extension, but it's going to give us a good stretch in our lats. Learn how to brace the core as we move into the more intermediate routines. Woo. All right, let's move on to the intermediate exercises. So for these movements, they're still ground-based, where no equipment needed, but they are a little bit harder to not only understand. So take your time, dissect the video, screenshot, screen record, whatever you need, so that way you're able to practice these before or after your routine. So this second segment, we're going to start with the quadruped position again. And this time we're going to be doing up our hip from the kickback position to our side, back to the starting point. So we're going to start right here in the quadruped position. I'm going to start with my left leg. I'm going to lift it up nice and high, just over my right foot. And I'm going to rotate it and try to get the heel with my knee locked right next to my chest, and I'm gonna lift it up again and bring it over my opposite foot. So I'm gonna try to get as far as possible. Notice after a couple of reps, you're going to be getting deeper and deeper as the hip starts loosening up and our hamstring gets a little bit more awake and adductor, because we're also getting a little bit of inside of our leg. Again, let's do about 5 reps. The right leg, same thing. Kick back. Start across your left foot. Try to pick a spot and tap every single time, keeping this right working leg locked. Again, these are a bit harder, so try not to compensate too much. Notice how my hands are still flat on the ground, and I'm trying to keep my chest as parallel to the ground as possible. If there's any pain with these, try to regress them and maybe go halfway at first, the kickback, and just come to here little by little. This next exercise, you gotta start on your feet. We're going to get into a deep squat position as low as you can with your chest upright. Take your hands, grab the ground. With the opposite arm, we're going to extend and rotate our torso without lifting your hand off the ground. Try to keep this arm locked. Rotate as far as you can and repeat. This next exercise also starts in the quadruped position. Basically at the end of our other movement, we're going to take our leg and try to put it directly next to our chest. And we're going to be rocking forward and back. And we're going to be feeling a lot of groin and adductor here as we drive, almost like cobra, hips towards the ground. And then we're going to rock back and sit on the base leg, which would be my right leg. Drive down like cobra, all while keeping this working leg locked. If you feel a little bit of stiffness, bring your foot slightly back to be able to regress the pattern. Our last exercise for this intermediate block will be a basic butterfly stretch. So bring your feet, the bottom of your feet together. Now feel free to add weight to this one, but all we're gonna do is try to grab our ankles and bring our knees manually down as far as you can. Again, if you're starting your workout, I probably wouldn't recommend this one. This is mostly for post-workout. Again, if you want to make it harder, grab some dumbbells and place them on your knees. And that's going to give you a lot more of a stretch. Make sure you don't completely let them go, as you need to have some control and see if that feels safe. All right, welcome to the advanced part of our hip mobility series. Now, again, like I said, none of these are necessarily harder than the others. Everybody's mobility and ranges of motion are different, but you're gonna want to explore these towards the end, as I feel like these are a little bit harder to not only get down, but they would probably be best saved for after your routine, so that way you don't necessarily burn out when it comes to your cognitive energy that you have for the day, and you save that for the actual workout. First part, we're gonna start with heel clicks. So we're gonna start at the end of basically a 90 shin box position. And what we're going to do is I'm gonna bring this heel to this heel without really trying to move too much of my upper body to compensate. It's gonna look like this. I'm gonna bring the heel to the heel. I'm gonna lift this leg up and bring my knee to the ground, and then back to this position. Knee to the ground, just like this. Lift it around, bring the heel to the ground. Try to get this knee to go as far back as possible. Basically a 90-90 position, but just the knee is getting to this part. I'm gonna try to leave this foot off the ground. As the next side, get into this 90 position, and then I'm gonna bring the heel up to the heel, back out without letting that foot touch the ground. Notice how my right hip, it probably looks smoother because it doesn't have any restriction. My left one does have some issues, but that is normal. Both limbs are never gonna be the same, and you wanna build through these ranges through time. Our next motion is going to start in a figure 4 on the ground. So I'm going to get into this position right here. Notice how it looks like a 4. And I'm going to lean back a little bit. I'm going to lift this leg up and bring it out to here, back into, again, the same 90 position. Lift it up, bring it back to here. Try to keep as least amount of mobility in the torso. This one I'm not that good at, so I'm showing you how you're probably going to be executing it. This front leg is completely flat, chest is upright, and I'm bringing the leg around without touching the ground. Knee to the ground, lift it up, back out to an upright position. Again, this is not easy. I'm floating the foot off the ground, knee to this back position. Notice how this foot is off the ground still. I'm gonna lift it up, lock it, and bring it to here. Big rotation here, knee, back out. To repeat the other side, bend the opposite leg, start in a straight position in a 4. I'm gonna support my body here. I'm gonna lift around, I'm gonna float, 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 bend, tap, lock, float, back to the 4. Lift, go around the foot, basically bend, tap, back to this position here. Lift, go around, bend the knee, tap the ground, lock, lift it up. This next position is going to be nice and comfortable. You're gonna get on your side. We're gonna keep this knee bent. I'm gonna be on like in a side plank position, and I'm going to be bringing this leg outward. So I'm gonna open it up, bring this knee down to my foot. I'm gonna lift my foot off the ground, plant it back, and open up the hip as far as you can without necessarily lifting your foot up. Lift this foot off the ground, open up the leg. Our last movement is going to look very familiar, as you're going to be basically getting into a runner stretch position. I'm going to start right here, but we're going to stay on our back knee. Bring this foot forward, leaving this knee on the ground. Same side. Arm is going to pull the back toe towards this side. This is a very deep and advanced stretch, so make sure that you don't try this unless your shoulders, hips, hamstrings, ankles are nice and mobile. Again, quadruped position. Bring the foot next to the hand. Same side hand as your foot is going to reach back, grab your foot, and rotate. Dig that left hip towards the ground. Keep the right foot flat. Rotate your body. This is a crazy stretch. And I left it to the end because a lot of you would want to try this, and unless you stay tuned for the whole video, you're probably not going to get to this. Again, hand next to the foot. Rotate that same side foot. It's going to reach for this foot. Rotate this way. Try to keep that foot planted and rotate. Alright guys, that's the end of this video. Thank you for watching. Feel free to screen record or screenshot any of these movements to plug into your current workout before or after. Again, I would probably say after would be the best time to do these, as you're nice and loose by that point. And if there's any other type of mobility or exercise breakdowns like these, feel free to let me know in the comments. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. See ya.